talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Before I go any further in this episode of Keek on the Mic, I just want to once again, like I do always, thank you guys so much for all the support you guys continue to show Keek on the Mic. Like I say always, I wouldn't do it without your guys' support. So thank you guys for motivating me every single day to keep pushing great content out to you guys. And the channel is so close to 4,000 subscribers. I think I'm less than 300 subscribers away. So make sure you share the channel to every single Bears fan that you know and help the channel continue to grow and get to 4,000 subscribers. So now let's get to the topic today on Keek on the Mic. Obviously, we are about a week away from the NFL draft, and I am super pumped. I'm excited to see what Ryan Poles does in his first NFL draft as the Chicago Bears GM. And the report out of Chicago, and I think some of you guys may like this and some of you guys may not, but the report out of Chicago is this. The Bears are focused on big people early in the draft. And obviously the Chicago Bears have been kind of a mystery around the NFL world. Obviously, we know the Chicago Bears needs. We know that they need a receiver. They need offensive linemen. They need cornerbacks. They need linebackers. They need defensive line. They kind of need a lot of things, right? They have a lot of holes to fill as they go into this NFL draft, but it's still been a huge mystery. I know we've been talking on this podcast a lot about what direction are the Chicago Bears going to go in. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, we need to get wide receiver, or we need to get offensive lineman, or we need a cornerback, or we need a linebacker in the second round. But it's still a huge mystery. Obviously, the Bears don't have a first-round pick, but with 2 second-rounders, it's still hard to predict what direction Ryan Poles is actually going into. And that has gotten people to start talking around the NFL, trying to figure out what direction Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears are actually going to go in when the draft comes up later this month. But ex-Bear scout Greg Gabriel was able to come away with some information, and to me, it's really interesting. In a tweet, Gabriel had this to say. In talking to some personnel people around the league, they all feel that the Bears are going to take big people early and not skill. So if you read that tweet correctly, they are expected, or they are assuming that the Chicago Bears are in the direction of taking big people early, not skill. So that means this tweet suggests that the Bears will focus on offensive line and defensive line first and before anything else. So not cornerback, not linebacker, not wide receiver. They are trying to build the trenches before anything else. And I know a lot of Bears fans. I've been reading all the mock drafts, reading all the comments about what the Chicago Bears should do. I know there's a lot of Bears fans that were hoping that the Bears would prioritize wide receiver, basically getting weapons for Justin Fields, or maybe adding a cornerback or a linebacker because we desperately need a cornerback to add to our football team. But now that I'm hearing this, that the Bears are kind of leading in the direction of building through the trenches, it actually makes a lot of sense, as this is basically what Poles has been preaching to us since day one. Since the day he officially became the Chicago Bears GM, he told us that he wanted to build the offensive line, the defensive line. He wanted to build the trenches first and then focus on the other positions for this football team. And something that Ryan Poles came in and said right away after watching film of this football team last season is that he was really unimpressed with the Chicago Bears offensive line, which we all know that the Bears offensive line was pretty bad last season, right? He is looking for a different mentality. He is looking for offensive linemen that have that mean motor about them, guys that are going to finish blocks, guys that are pricks. That's what he likes to call them. So he is trying to revamp this offensive line with a different mentality. And then when you look on the other side, obviously, when you're looking about offensive line and when you're looking at the defensive line, they are looking for certain defensive players that fit in this new 4-3 scheme that Matt Eberflus is bringing to Chicago. And when you look at the 4-3 scheme, you expect to get pressure with your front four guys, right? getting to the quarterback and getting sacks, right? Getting that pressure on the quarterback, which is really important. So obviously we added some defensive guys to our defensive line in free agency, but now that this tweet came out, now that Greg Gabriel came out with this, it kind of makes me wonder if the Bears will, in fact, focus on offensive line and defensive line early in the draft. As fans, we should have seen this coming. Just look at what Poles was attempting to do in free agency. He offered the two largest deals to D-tackle Larry Ogunjobi, which was 3 years, and guard Ryan Bates for 4 years. No, he didn't close those deals for different reasons that we already know, but this gave us a glimpse of what he was trying to do in free agency. He was trying to build through the trenches, right? Make our offensive line better. Make our D-tackle position better. And this Bears team wants to make the trenches strong and control the line of scrimmage first before worrying about the skill players. And personally, as a fan, I am okay with that because you need to build the trenches first and then worry. Because here's the thing. If you want Justin Fields to be able to have time to throw the football, you need a solid offensive line, right? So it makes sense why Ryan Poles is focusing on the offensive line. And when you go back to the Ryan Pace days, for example, he never prioritized offensive line, right? We can sit here and say, yeah, he got Tevin Jenkins in the second round, right? That was basically it. But when you look at the first pick that Ryan Pace has made since 2015, he selected a wide receiver, a linebacker, quarterback, linebacker, running back, tight end, and QB. That shows you right there that Ryan Pace never prioritized offensive line, and our O-line has been mediocre since 2015, so it surprises me that Pace never focused on that. So what Ryan Poles is trying to do, he is trying to fix that problem. And I think all Bears fans should be on board with building the trenches early and then focusing on the skill players, especially when you look at the draft and how deep it is at wide receiver. I think we can afford to build the trenches early, right, in the second rounds, and still get a couple of solid receivers to add to the Chicago Bears football team later in the NFL draft. And like I said, I think it's a great idea, especially when you have a young quarterback that needs time to get rid of the football. Not only that, you're just trying to change the mentality of this offensive line and defensive line with guys that have that mean mentality that Poles wants and guys that he likes to call pricks. So overall, I know that most Bears fans want that wide receiver. I know they want Christian Watson, which I did too. I know that you want Alex Pierce. Maybe you want George Pickens. The list goes on and on. But I think it makes a lot of sense to build the trenches up. So in the long run, we won't have to worry about our offensive line and defensive line ever again, hopefully. And that's what they are trying to do. So, like always, let me ask you guys this. Would you guys be okay with the Bears drafting O-line and D-line before wide receiver? Let me know down below in the comment section. But before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to get all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, I'll be back for our all-new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.